I think the top three perceptual distortions that employees are most likely to be affected by when forming perceptions of a new manager are halo effect, stereotyping, and projection. They each happen because of different reasons and more or less because of cognitive bias by the user or employee. Um, the halo effect is the first one that I believe in. And the reason why I believe that is when employees meet a new manager, I think they often form opinions way too quickly, and those opinions are not always based on facts. The three perceptual distortions I think that show up most are the halo effect, the stereotyping, and projection. The halo effect is when one strong trait shapes the whole impression of a person. For instance, their voice, their stature, even the color of their skin. If the manager is polished, confident, attractive, or speaks well, employees may assume they are competent, fair, intelligent, trustworthy, even if they haven't yet proved that. Or the opposite, if they seem awkward, nervous, or too quiet on day one, people may assume they're weak or unqualified. Some of the examples that I have is I've seen situations where someone comes in very polished and professional, and people immediately assume that they're going to be a great leader. And it turns out that they do not know how to communicate or manage a team, nor do they know how to support a team or delegate. So, first impression is not always correct. Why does it matter? That distortion matters because employees may either trust too quickly or resist too quickly, and both can damage the relationship before it even starts. Stereotyping is another form, and making assumptions based on age, gender, race, personality type, background, or appearance. The second distortion shows a bias because people often judge managers based on what category they think they fit into or who they actually are. She's too young. Why did she get this position? He's too old, so he's going to be old school. She's too nice to be effective. He's corporate, so he won't understand the team. She's creative, so she'll be flaky and non organized. These are all preconceived ideas, none based on actual performance. I think this happens a lot in workplaces because people bring in past experiences. That's good news and bad news. If they've had one bad manager who reminds them of the new one, or unconsciously they transfer the assumptions. Um, this, what I mean by this is stereotyping can be dangerous because it blocks fairness. It also blocks the core desired outcome, which is the team to work effectively together. Employees may never give a new manager a real chance or a chance to earn trust or to give trust. And that can bring a whole organization down. Projection is very dangerous because it assumes that the other person thinks, feels, or believes the same way or a different way than you do. Projection happens when employees assume a new manager should lead the way they personally would lead, or if the manager doesn't match the same style, they may judge them unfairly. If an employee values warmth and emotional connection, they may think a direct manager is cold. If an employee is very task driven, they may think a relational manager is weak or inefficient. I think this is a really common one because we often confuse different with wrong. Just because someone leads differently doesn't mean they're a bad leader. Often I over communicate in team settings when the time is appropriate because I think the more we communicate about our thought process, the more we can also build trust because we understand each other's decisions in a team. Not all leaders lead like this, and not all team players play on the team like this. So I choose to lead like that. And I usually tell my team that that's why I'm over explaining. Not because I think they're incompetent, because I want them to take my approach and make it their own. My approach to help them understand why I got to that position or why I got to that decision. Overall, I think the halo effect, stereotyping, and projection are the biggest distortions because they all happen quickly and very emotionally. Employees may think they are being objective, but often they are reacting to assumptions, personal bias, or first impressions. That's why I think both employees and managers need time, observation, and communication before making judgments. The next prompt was describe what you would do in a difficult work situation to protect yourself from falling prey to fundamental attribution error. To avoid fundamental attribution error, you have to slow down your judgment and consider situational factors before assuming someone else's behavior and before deciding how that affects or reflects on their character. Fundamental attribution error is one of the easiest mistakes to make in the workplace because it happens when we assume someone's behavior is caused by who we think they are as a person instead of what we think they might be dealing with. Some examples might look like a coworker missing a deadline, which leads to someone saying they're lazy, a manager seeming short in a meeting, which someone might assume means she's rude, or an employee forgets something. So therefore, he's labeled as irresponsible. But maybe they had an unclear instruction. Maybe they're overloaded. Maybe they're under stress. Maybe they're dealing with a family issue. Maybe there was a communication breakdown. So, what you can do to protect yourself is pause before labeling the person. The first thing I often try to do is remember that everybody is operating the best they can with the knowledge they have at that point in time. Instead of immediately saying, this person is careless, I would ask myself, what else could explain this? Critical thinking in our emotions is what emotional intelligence is. Understanding people is not a cookie cutter sort of process. Second, I would try to gather more information before reacting emotionally. Asking questions, looking at the workload, checking whether expectations were clear, seeing if there were outside circumstances. And then sometimes what looks like an attitude is actually burnout, confusion, or pressure. It could also be misunderstanding of everyone involved. Third, I would communicate directly and respectfully instead of building a whole story in my head. Instead of saying she doesn't care, I can say, hey, I noticed that you were delayed. I noticed that you've been late. Is there something going on that affected this timeline? Is there something else that's contributing to tardiness, to lateness of this project? If I had a coworker who came across as dismissive in a group, my first instinct might be to think that they were disrespectful or difficult. But if I actually slow down before I speak, I might realize that they were under pressure, overwhelmed, or maybe even misunderstood what was being asked. So instead of personalizing it, I would try to clarify before reacting. Again, that long pause is often our place of grace. Why this matters professionally is avoiding fundamental attribution error matters because once we label someone unfairly, it changes how we treat them. It can damage trust, can damage teamwork, and it can damage communication. So, in a difficult work situation, I would protect myself from fundamental attribution error by pausing, looking for context, and communicating directly. I think that helps me respond more professionally and more accurately instead of reacting based on assumption. Humility is a huge part of this, but so is also my mother's favorite rule: treat others the way you want to be treated. I would want someone to review how I'm labeled. So I often take the pause to review how I label others and to try to, again, act with humility and love along the way. Praise can be a type of positive reinforcement used by managers. List at least 3 additional positive reinforcements that are used in a workplace, or the reinforcements you list, which you find most personally motivating and why. 3 strong positive reinforcements besides praise are bonuses or raises, growth opportunities and promotions, flexibility, autonomy, and trust. I also very much am a fan of recognition awards, extra time off, preferred scheduling, public acknowledgement, professional development opportunities. Praise is definitely one of the forms of positive reinforcement, but in most workplaces, employees are motivated by more than just verbal encouragement. 3 other strong positive reinforcements are financial rewards, opportunities, or advancement, and flexibility. The reasons why these are a form of praise, even though it might not completely align with an individual's values, are: this is the way businesses run. Often I hear my own thoughts that money is not everything, but unfortunately in corporate America and in business world, money does run it. So bonuses, raises, and financial rewards are the first reinforcement. A bonus, a raise, a commission, or even a gift card or performance incentive creates a great direct connection between performance and reward. I think that money motivates people, but usually not forever. It can boost effort, but if the workplace culture is unhealthy, money alone won't keep people engaged, nor will it keep them dedicated or loyal to an organization. Growth opportunities and promotions are a strong reason people will stay in an organization. Leadership responsibilities, training, or being trusted with bigger projects reinforces not just performance, but potential. It tells the employee, we see your value and we want to invest in you. A lot of people are highly motivated when they feel like their effort is leading somewhere. Flexibility and autonomy and trust is one of the most powerful today. Remote working, flexible hours, and freedom to solve problems in your own way, and less micromanagement are strong factors in why people might stay loyal to an organization. That kind of reinforcement tells employees that they are trusted, and trust can be incredibly motivating. Personally, I think growth opportunities or autonomy, because they are more reflective than money. You can find your own way in this world as long as you have people who trust you with the responsibilities that have been outlined for you. One of the most motivating growth opportunities that I've had is because I'm someone who likes to keep building. If I know my work is opening doors for me to learn, lead, or create at a higher level, that motivates me deeply. It motivates me so much. I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. A lot of the projects that I've created for myself have been managed by myself, but they've also been a self-built stair of some sort that I knew would build my portfolio. I knew it would get me somewhere. Even if I was just gaining small, transferable soft skills as well as hard skills along the way. I just very much deeply knew that they would help me in some sort of way. I didn't feel like these projects were a dead end, so they gave me motivation to keep creating. So while praise matters, I think effective positive reinforcement in the workplace also includes financial rewards, opportunities to grow, and autonomy. Out of those, I'm most motivated by trust and growth because of the forms of reinforcement makes me feel valued beyond just the task itself. On prompt 4, you join a company where managers regularly reprimand their direct reports in front of others, play favorites, and encourage coworkers to report to one another for making small mistakes. Based on Bandura's social cognitive theory, what sort of company culture is likely to spring from that? And how would a new employee seek to get ahead at such a company? And what extent would efforts to succeed in this culture